Chad is in 2 chapters of Aspire. He's the only person featured in 2 chapters, the Inspire chapter and the Passion chapter. And he personifies passion, which means you're willing to suffer and sacrifice for what you love. People say, oh, do what you love, the money will follow. You got to be able to pay the price to do that. He does it every day. I texted him this morning. I get up a little bit early to get ready for this event. Wiped last night about 4 o'clock. I tried to stay in bed, 4:30, get up and let's get organized. And I text him sometime around 5:30. He has been up for about an hour and a half, stretching, and it takes him an hour and a half to pull on his sleeve with his teeth to get dressed. And I said, Summer can go over there. My grandson Miles can go over there. Dave Pinner can go. He says, no. It's nice exercise for me to do consistently and persistently, one of the Champions Mindset principles. And I said, well, we can have them over there. Oh, I'll be here at 5 to 8, ready to be mic'd. And he just went upstairs and signed tiles. You know, all of the champions, you got Chad Hymas on those tiles that are being signed. So what I love about Chad, and I was on the bike ride, and this isn't about me, but that is a true story, that we all want to go on a big journey. And it's not the beginning that matters, because when he kicked off and said, I'm going to go 506 miles?
That's the story I wanted you to tell.
503, 504, what was the exact number, Chad? 513. He knows it. 513. Everybody's there. All the media, they're all excited. But I was with him on some of those middle miles. And there's nobody around. And it gets a lot harder. And he even called one night when he got in the van and he cut his back. He's like, I don't know. He knows how to finish. The bookends of success are starting and finishing. Alex, you said, I start a lot of things. And you were a little harsh on yourself. We all start a lot of things, right? Billy DeMond, gold medalist, said, all these things, all these great ideas, what if we could just take how many?
One.
Just one. How hard is it to focus in on one? He has an ability to focus. And what did he do? Oh, I don't want to take his story. He can tell you, instead of just what's the next mile, what's 500 miles, he started counting because his dad said, Chad, just count the lines. Just one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. So I was there just for a little bit, and then I got to bring Star when he finished at the end. So all the excitement at the end, all the excitement at the beginning, but for you, it's all exciting right here. What happens next Monday? What happens next Tuesday when you're all alone? Megan said it last night. When you're not surrounded by all these walls, and you're out there just naked, and the world's coming at you. That's why you take notes. That's why you surround yourself with a Chad Hymas. So let's go to Chad.
Yeah, Chad, can you come over here for just a second? And everybody, how's our internet connection? I'm going to use this chair to sit next to Chad. How's the internet connection? Are we good? We're on the Mastermind Training Circle, and Chad, my friend, you were the first person I saw when I walked in the building this morning.
Yeah.
You were doing some interesting yoga.
It was interesting.
Is he mic'd? He's mic'd, okay.
Yep, I'm mic'd.
All right. So I had a question for Chad, and he doesn't know what I'm about to say, because you've been on my show a few times, and I remember it was a rocky time in the world and the economy. There was a lot of turbulence going on, and you had a saying for the audience that day that just seemed so appropriate for anyone in the journey, and you said, every setback is a great setup for a great comeback. And I just don't know if you remember that. I quote you about it all the time, and I think about people going through difficulties, challenges, relationships, businesses, any type of setback that one can imagine. I've been visiting a lot lately with people that have addiction recovery issues. Every great setback is the opportunity for a great comeback. I wonder if you could just say a few words about some of those setbacks on the journey and some of the things that you speak of in that regard, unless I'm throwing you way off, because I know you have a speech prepared here in a few minutes, and I don't want to get in the middle of that.
So regarding a couple of those things, first of all, let's give credit where credit is due. Willie Jolly is the author of that phrase. A setback is a setup for a comeback, so you can look that up. And I learned that from Willie, and I've used that quite a bit, so there's nothing wrong with doing that, as long as we give credit to where it comes from, and that's where I learned that from. As far as today's presentation, it's important for the audience, and Kevin, you know this as well as I have nothing prepared for you. Don't get me wrong, I have thought deeply about it, and I've meditated, and I've prayed about it, but it will come as we discuss together. And so I don't use slides, I don't use PowerPoint, it will come from you. And you will hear and feel things that won't necessarily come from me, but will come from a source way above and beyond me, which Lance teaches directly, and I love that. As far as these middle miles, maybe I'll just share a little bit about that, because it is a setback. I remember Kevin was there when I took off for that 513-mile trek, and I will count every one of those miles. But he was there at 4 o'clock in the morning. We pushed off from Temple Square in Salt Lake City, and those first 2 days were great because there was a lot of people there to cheer me on. I mean, we're talking thousands of people. All you gotta do is put it on the LDS hotline and more than show up. And so these people show up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and this is kind of ironic how this all works out. So they certainly cheer me on, and that happens for the first couple of days, and I get so, that surge just starts, because we're here at the mastery, that surge, and the experience from last night, which I unfortunately wasn't able to attend, but you go through something like that, and you'll never forget how you feel, but then you gotta go home and try and remember and reflect on how you felt, because you're gonna forget what you hear, right? So you remember how they feel, they don't remember what people say unless you write down some notes. And so, with that said, I went the extra miles those first couple days because I had a bunch of people pushing me. And then, as we talk about the setbacks, as Kevin talked about, alluded to, I did call you. I had fallen off the bike a couple times. I got 12 stitches in the back. It didn't hurt me, but I'll just put it this way. On day number 3, I hit headwinds of about 10 miles an hour, but when you're in a wheelchair, I mean, I had to push even going downhill. That's how bad that's what it was like. I was pushing going downhill. I remember getting to Millard County, which is somewhere halfway between, let's say, Cedar and maybe Irving County. So it's about the halfway mark. And we hit Beaver Mountain, a mountain that increases in over 2,400 feet in just 3 miles. Cool. It took me 2 days to do just those, 2 full days just to do those. We had to average 53 miles a day. And it took me forever to get to the top. 2 full days to do just a couple of miles. But I learned something with that. And you need to remember this. With every up, and I hit 35 miles an hour on that. Suicide is an option. We go 35 miles an hour. It's definitely an option. And then we get through St. George, and we get right over here on the other side to Mesquite. And that's where things change. We're close. We're 87 miles away, but it's hot. I mean, it's 122 asphalt temperature at 2 in the morning. We have to switch from day to night to allow it to cool down because I don't sweat. Which, side note, modern miracle, save some money in deodorant. I have more friends than you now. So I don't sweat. The body does not sweat. So we went to a night gig, and has anybody ever seen Forrest Gump? Yes. Remember when he goes from, right. But he doesn't stop until he goes back and forth, east to west, then he goes north to south, border to border, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, what does he do? In the middle of the, I relate to that, just stops, and he says a couple words, I think I'll go home now, which is exactly what I did at 3:30 in the morning. There was a few cop cars behind me, a few cop cars in front of me, and I stopped right at mile marker 87. I stopped, 3 o'clock in the morning. My dad comes down the motorhome. Everything okay? I said, Dad, I don't want to do it anymore. He says, son, Vegas is right there. You can see Las Vegas. Look at the lights. It's there. It's right there, Peter. I said, I can't do it anymore. Have you ever felt like that before in your life? Have you ever felt like maybe you're at the bottom of the rope, you're being judged by other people? Everybody's got a critic. Everybody's got a critic. And sometimes it's easier to just stop. And true, it is easy. That's why a lot of people do it. They stop. And I am guilty of that. And he comes out and he says this: son, I will do whatever you want, but let's go chat for a minute. He carried my limp body into the motorhome, set me on the couch, gave me some Gatorade, and he said these words: how are you measuring your success?
I'm gonna have someone type that in the chat feed right there on the because they're chatting. Are they chatting at you? Okay, say it one more time.
How are you measuring your success?
Such a great question.
It's a great question. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, how are you measuring your progress? We changed one word. I said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, well, you know your destination. How do you know where you're at? I've been watching you closely, son, from the motorcycle and from the I know what you're doing. I'm just trying to get you to recognize it. I said, well, I think I'm just kind of looking at the lights right now, and I'm counting the green signs on the side of the road. They count every mile. So I know exactly where I'm at, and I got 87 more to go, and I'm just pooped. There's no way I can go. They said, well, that's all well and good, but if you're willing to give it a shot, son, and I believe in you, which is the same words you said to me when I never thought that I could be happily married or find a place. You said this to me in the very living room of your home in Sandy. Your wife present.
Someone was there.
Summer was there. Bryson was the one that carried me into the house because you almost dropped me. I remember that. Bryson took good care of me. Thanks, Bryson. My dad said, son, if you're willing, would you want to go back out and count the yellow stripes in the middle of the road and not look to your right? And because I have respect for the master, a respect for somebody that has confidence in me when I don't have confidence in myself. Would you do things for others that you won't do for yourself, yes or no?
Yes.
So I didn't go out for me, I went out, I did, for my man, for my best friend. And I started, and that night I pushed 2,300, just over 2,300. The next night, I pushed just over 7,000, and that night we hit Crescent Junction. You know where Crescent? It's the peak hill right before you go to Vegas. You're only 17 miles away, and it's all downhill from there. They waited until 9 o'clock, shut the stoplights off on the strip, full motorcade, police entourage, a helicopter above, and I coasted my way into the Mirage, and people were coming out of the casinos at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, granted, they started with Mormon people and it was drunks. I don't care about that. Started with Mormon people and it was drunks, but they believed in me, they were cheering me on, and I was motivated by their excitement. When I crossed that finish line in front of a bunch of drunk people playing the casinos all night, there went up a cheer that made me weep. Because they were there to support and believe in me and celebrate that victory that enabled them to hope. So the metaphor and the principle, I guess, is it's not the big and greatest things that get us to where we want to be. It's that $1 an hour raise, and then before you know it, you're getting to that next step, and then before you know it, you're part of this marketing group where network marketing is only the platform you're using to make other people's lives and hope better. It's just a platform, that's all it is. And so that's what I learned from the setbacks and the comebacks. You need to do the little things. It's getting up in the morning at 3 o'clock, which I have no, Kevin said, let me have someone come over and help you. That would be taking away from, as much as he wants to take, that would be taking away from I need to have that to be lucid. I need to have that to be able to push. I need to be able to do that. If I had somebody else do that for me, that'd be like somebody else doing the exercises for you, and you don't lose the pounds that way. I need, some of you guys get up and drink coffee for 2 hours. I just get dressed.
That's a win.
Right?
That's a win.
Some people get up and they watch Judge Judy. I just get dressed. It's not that, it's okay. And I don't mind getting up at 3 o'clock to do it. That's exactly what I did. I turned on, I think, Deadliest Catch, and I stretched out, and I was ready to go, and I was here as promised. Almost, because you talk for a long time. You talk. Chantel, am I wrong? Thank you, Kevin. Talks.
Alex and I are the only two people that can answer the wrong number and be on the phone for 20 minutes.
I interrupted your show. Kevin said, look, you gotta be here, and I'm like, okay, my new goal this year is anytime there's a chance to meet new people. If there's a chance to meet new people, I wanna be there. And so I drove 5.5 hours last night going through that wreck in Baker, which I just sat on the freeway, and just thought, Kevin told me I gotta be at the concert. I'm not gonna make it to the concert. But I get here, I get up at 4:23 this morning, and I don't mind it either. Because if you win the morning, you win the day. Win the morning, win the day. What's wrong with that? Let's just win the morning. If we win the morning, we win the day. And Chad took the time to tell you that story about that setback. And I don't know if you remember being on my show when we talked about that, but it was impactful for me to ask myself, what kind of setbacks have I faced? And was it a great setup for a great comeback? And I look at your book here in the title, Doing What Must Be Done. By the way, if you're watching today and you don't have Chad's book, don't buy one, buy 10. Because you're going to want to give them out. Because today you just met Chad Hymas if you haven't met him. There's people in the room that probably haven't met him. And I know that when people buy the book and they hear the authenticity, and I'm not sure, remind me, and I hate to bring this back to your mental cognition, on the ride, 513 miles. Were your hands bleeding at one point?
They, constantly, that's why I gave up. I mean, the gloves, yeah. The chain had broke 6 times, we had broken chains, flat tires. Crickets. Remember, the crickets were bad coming through Eureka.
Crickets.
The crickets were bad. That was, you were with me on that. That was bad. That was bad.
He's on the ground, and these crickets are eating each other. They're coming, we're going in the middle of the desert.
That's true.
They're floating across, locust crickets, they're just coming across.
Unreal.
And just eating each other. I'm up on a bike, he's lower, on a hand, and they're getting in your pants, they're getting on your, I mean, you're so low.
Good protein.
Good protein. They sell crickets now, don't they? Cricket chips and stuff like
Yes.
that? Well, let's be respectful. I always try to start exactly at 9 a.m. Mountain Time every Saturday, but I like to finish I don't even know what time it is, Kevin.
9:23?
9:23. We got a couple minutes, okay?
You want to bring Alex in?
I would love to bring Alex in, but I'm going to because he
He
has
stay here.
he has an assigned 9:30 appointment, right? And we're going to respect that. We're live at the Genshai Mastery Retreat for anybody that came in late. We're live on the Mastermind Training Circle. If you're joining us from anywhere in the world, it's great to be with you. We're with Kevin Hall, the author of Aspire. We're with Chad Hymas, doing what must be done. And that setback that is setting your life up for that great comeback. And now, let's bring in, go ahead.
Alex Boye, could you come up and share? We got 2 minutes with this group.
Let's take 5.
Let's take 5, and that element of you can't change what you are.
Ooh.
Come on up, brother.
Come on up,
You
Alex
got one of the
Boye.
great entertainers of our day. We'll slide to the side.
Alex
for you to
Boye.
do that.
Oh, there we go. Can we get a close-up on the shoes with the camera? Can we get a close-up on Alex's shoes and the whole giddy up here? Because this man knows how to put it together.
Connor he designed
That's
these.
my son, Connor. He sings Lemonade.
He presented to me about 3 days ago. And this is my whole life here.
Okay.
I'd rather have my chair than those shoes.
Okay, this is going to be a challenge. Before I die, you will have a pair of these shoes. And you're going to wear them, bro. And you're going to love it. You look good in it, too.
I was so thrown off by how that humor came across the screen that I forgot the question you asked him.
Me too.
You can tell the lemon question. Alex, can I ask him the question?
Please.
You had a moment, we have a pivotal moment in our life. You're wearing shoes with lemons on them, and you sing a song. Maybe you could sing Lemonade to your group as we hang up. Why don't you tell the story? Let's tee up Lemonade.
Let's do it.
Is your voice okay? You did so well last night.
We'll see. Ask Jesus. We'll see
Let's
how
do
we
it.
Okay.
We've never sang on the show before, to my recollection, 20 years.
You want this. If you can give him 2 minutes of Lemonade and 3 minutes of the actual song, for those of you here, one of the greatest entertainers, not only in the world, but for the world.
That's
One of the
$100.
top 10 speakers in the world, but he's one of the top speakers for the world. Alex?
Well, when I was 16, I was homeless for a little while. My mom was going to Nigeria for 3 weeks. She put me with an uncle, and she dropped me off, and she never came back. And it was really, really hard. I was angry at everyone, angry at God, angry at my mom, and all this stuff. And I just turned into this kid that was so happy, was so full of life and joie de vivre, or whatever they call it in France. And I was just so excited about my future, about life. When my mom dropped me off, the uncle that I was staying with, he abused me sexually, frequently, him and some of his friends. And I would be the one that have to go and buy him the alcohol and the drinks and the cigarettes, just so that I can entertain. And I was in such a dark place, I didn't want to be around anymore. And I remember just going, I ran away, and I went to this nightclub. And my goal was, I was going to go take my life after I danced, because that's where I get my release. And as I was doing that, the DJ gets on the microphone, and he says, "Is that Alex Boye on the dance floor?" And now I'm freaking out. I'm 16 years old. I'm a 21-year-old and up nightclub. Shouldn't be there. I thought I was going to get arrested. I thought, I'm in trouble. And then he said, "Alex, I just want to tell you something. I saw you perform." And I didn't know this. It was 3 weeks before he saw me perform at a talent contest. And then he said, "I saw you. You're going to be huge one day. Keep on. Don't stop." And he says, "I'm going to dedicate this song to Alex Boye." The song that he dedicated changed my life. The lyrics just went right into the deepest part of my soul. And the lyrics, I couldn't find it. I found it recently. It was just like, keep on. There's a part that says, "With the strength of your mind, you can be set free. You can overcome your past. Search deep inside, and you will see that your time has come at last." And then when I keep on, DJ was like, keep on. That's all it was. Changed everything about me. 2 things happened that day. I decided to stay alive, and I decided to be an entertainer. That day I walked out of that nightclub alive, and I went to the nearest trash can and I started eating food from it. And as I was eating this food, I was about to put it in my mouth, and someone just slaps it out of my hand. And it's this dude. I'm so mad and I'm so angry. Like, you're taking away my food. You know, trying to take the bone away from a dog. It's like, you know. And so anyway, so I'm just right there. And then he says to me, "Son," I can imagine if it was Chad and he slapped it out of my hand, what would it be like? He'd be like, I'm like, "Why are you doing this, Chad?" And he'll give me a TED talk. That's the reasons why I should do it, right? Right there on the street, right? That's what this guy did. This old guy, silver head, but he had the kindest, like, because I wanted to slap him. He had the kindest eyes. And I was like, I can't. And I just said, "Why would you do that?" And he said, "You're better than this. There's so much more. There's a greater day ahead." And he just went through it. And then I got really excited. I didn't really listen to much of what he was saying, but he put his hand in his pocket. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let's go." Put his hand in his pocket. And he pulled out a lemon. And seriously, he puts this in my hand. And he says, "You're going to be all right, son." And then he just walks off. And I'm looking at this lemon here, and I'm looking at him, looking at this lemon. I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now? A flipping lemon? I'm hungry!" And I threw it at him. And I feel so bad about that. But it wasn't until years later, and I talked to my Genshai family about this. And I remember I didn't really understand that termination when it says, "When life gives you lemons."
Lemonade.
I had no idea what that meant. But it was like probably about 7 years ago, it hit me really hard. Someone said it. I was in probably an event like this, When life gives me, and all of a sudden I had a flashback. But this guy gave me a lemon. And I realized what he was trying to tell me. He was saying, the lemon is where you're at right now. But you just keep going. And you'll have opportunity to have people bring you sweets, bring you honey, and you can mix it together, come out with lemonade. So that's how I ended up writing this song with him. Go
You okay for a 3-minute lemonade?
yeah.
Chad?
Oh, yeah.
You've heard it once. Do you want to hear it again? Yeah. You okay, Dan?
You know, as soon as I talk about the singing, Chad leaves. Because he knows I was going to have him do the backup vocals, but it's like, just disappeared. Took that 513-mile trip again. He's like, I'm out of here. All right, this song's called Lemonade. Yeah, oh, yeah. I'm just a broke you won't believe. Can't get $1 out of me. And as far as I can see, I'm losing control like a bad disease. No, I just can't get relief. I've been shut down by the life police, and every day I try to rise, but I can't succeed. Can anybody find a cure for me? You can be, or you can be better. When life gives you lemons, it's not a champagne. Don't worry, little children. Don't complain. Oh, remember you're golden. Find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, what you gonna do? Make lemonade. Yeah. Woo! Oh, now every day is like a brand new year. I throw my hands up in the air like I just don't care. I'm walking down the street spinning like, oh yeah. I like the bottom of the glass now. I see clear. So now my life's just a little more. Stand taller than I did before. I know I'm not where I need to be, but I thank God that I'm not where I used to be. I used to be bitter, but now I feel better. When life gives you, hey, it's not a champagne. Don't worry, little children. Don't complain. Oh, remember you're golden. Find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemons, what you gonna do?
Make lemonade!
I was saved for a reason that I can't explain. Got something new to believe in. I'm awakened again. So many miracles are standing in our way, but I just gotta get out of my own way. Yeah. When life gives you, oh, it's like a champagne. Don't worry, little children. Don't complain. Oh, remember you're golden. Find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemon. Lemonade. Lemonade, 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 lemonade. Lemon. When life gives you lemon. Okay, what you got for lemon? Yeah. Don't worry, little children. Don't complain. Oh, remember you're golden. Find some sugar cane. When life gives you lemon, what you gonna do? Make lemonade. What you gonna do? Make lemonade.